From the PEP Radio Newsroom, these are the stories we're following at this hour. A library book audit at Lehighton Area High School is causing quite a stir. At a school board meeting Monday evening, roughly 20 community members joined the board to review a list of 33 books that were marked as possibly unacceptable for children without parental consent based solely on their titles. School board director Sean Gleaves, who joined the board last December, pulled book titles from the school library that he deemed as questionable and asked folks to read the books and provide input at a discussion meeting in September. Among the titles selected for review were, quote, White Privilege, Human Trafficking, Black Lives Matter, and LGBTQ Families, The Ultimate Teen Guide. Gleaves, who is originally from Texas, is a member of Moms for Liberty, a far-right conservative organization that claims they are advocating for the, quote, survival of America by unifying, educating, and empowering parents to defend their parental rights at all levels of government. On Monday, Gleaves claimed that his goal isn't to ban books, but to set these books aside such that they can only be checked out once the school receives parental permission. Steve Ebert, principal at the district's middle school, said that a similar list already exists at the middle school. If a student attempts to check out a book from the list, the librarian has a private consultation with the student and parents to explain that the students aren't prohibited from checking out the books. Gleaves' comments were met with some questions from those in the audience, with board members' responses often noting transgender individuals. He explained that the assumption is that he hates people who identify as other genders. He went on to say, I don't hate them, but that people should protect the innocence of children's minds. He stopped short of saying that he is censoring the books in the library. And now this news from Florida. The Orlando Police Department has closed its investigation into the former owners of the Pulse Nightclub without filing any charges. Victims' families and survivors of the killing of 49 patrons at the LGBTQ-friendly club had asked law enforcement to investigate them for criminal culpability. No charges will be filed against former owners Barbara and Rosario Poma because probable cause didn't exist for involuntary manslaughter by culpable negligence, the Orlando police said this week in an emailed statement. About 24 people, mostly survivors and family members of those who died in the 2016 shooting, gave statements to investigators. They said that building plans weren't available to first responders during the 3 hours hostages were held in the club, and that unpermitted renovations and building modifications had occurred. They also maintained that the club was likely above capacity, that it had operated for years in violation of its conditional use permit, and that there were security and risk management failures. And we wrap up with this story from Georgia. A Georgia Senate committee kicked off a new push by Republicans in the state to ban transgender women from participating in women's sports, hearing testimony on Tuesday from 5 former college swimmers who are suing the NCAA and Georgia Tech over a transgender woman's participation in the 2022 NCAA Women's Swimming Championships. Transgender participation in women's sports roiled Georgia's General Assembly in 2022 when lawmakers passed a law letting the Georgia High School Association regulate transgender women's participation in sports. The association, mostly made up of public high schools, then banned participation by transgender athletes in sports events it sponsors. But conservatives, including Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, a possible Republican contender for governor in 2026, have said that the law doesn't go far enough and wants to see lawmakers pass additional laws in 2025. With Jones's current level of command over the Senate, that means that whatever the committee finds, the Senate is likely to take further action in a year when many people will be positioning themselves for 2026 campaigns. We're here to protect female athletes, and that's what we should be doing as legislators, Jones told the committee on Tuesday. And I know that's what we are going to be able to do at the high school level because we're going to take those reins away from a private organization, from the Georgia High School Association, because as elected officials, that should be our duty. And we're going to protect female sports at our state-run universities and public universities that we fund here in the state of Georgia. But opponents say Tuesday's focus on the participation in the 2022 event by Leah Thomas, a transgender woman who swam for the University of Pennsylvania and won the 500-meter freestyle, doesn't prove the need for legislation. Many here today are focused on one student who won one title at one championship 2 years ago, said Kate Smith, the director of LGBTQIA+ policy at the liberal-leaning Center for American Progress. If trans women have such a clear advantage in sports, why do we not see them winning more championships and filling team rosters at the college level? That's a great question, but we're going to leave the story at this point and get back to the music here on PEP Radio.